You don't have to call anybody Alex, because I'm right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, really.
If anyone knew what happened just before this, you rang me up and said, how the fuck do I get on?
I have got no idea. I am seriously the old boy, the goat, if you like. I'm still trying to work out why you've got more followers than anybody that I know. I'm like, what's going on? Is it because of his good-looking hairstyle? Because every time I speak to you, you're always in a barber shop getting your hair done.
How we been,
Nick?
How we been, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I'm just getting used to all this twin screening larky of, you know, I don't know what it is. This you know, this green bobber of look, you know, like I'm in a space shuttle trying to work out how to push the buttons to get back to work, which of course you'd probably get back all right being like that. I'd just be struggling like a monkey going, trying to get back. You can only especially CDJ.
Well, you know, it's time to retrain, so we've got to retrain.
Yeah, well, apparently, the retraining video for Richard went down well. That was pretty all right.
I saw it.
What would we be?
Amazing. It was actually one of the most, I don't know, it was to the point, and it was brilliant. It was genius, mate. Absolutely genius. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say a big shout to all you guys out there. Some Peru people, house from Peru. I mean, these are the places I've never bloody played. Ayahuasca, yes. Played in Peru, no. You know what I mean?
We'll have to go down together soon, mate. That's one of my favourite places to play.
Well, it's been amazing because obviously I sent you a couple of demos from the new Subjective album, and of course, I've always said this, and it's not, you know, it's D&B boys, mate. When we've mastered the art, we can do any other type of music. And I think I successfully ironed you out at home the other day with a couple of nice pieces.
Well, I want to get onto the subjective stuff later and make a big deal of it, but obviously a lot of my followers are obviously house and techno and things like that, and then I know a lot about your history because you're like probably, if not my favorite drum and bass DJ, and I kind of want to start off. I want to start off the conversation, just find out how you fell into drum and bass and breakbeat. Like, you know, what made you go into that genre of electronic music?
But it's all, I mean, yeah, it's for those that don't know, I guess it's because it's already been there for the record. But to be honest, I mean, I'm a b-boy. B-boyism is my thing. I was in New York at 17 and a half, 18. I spent a 5 years back and forth in Miami and New York. It's always been my old school breaks. The Roughest Crew thing was when I started. You know, I made a choice very early on.
Yeah.
You know, breaks and beats. You know, it's what we call the poorest rut of the ladder as a genre. You know, weirdly enough, you know, it's the choice. You know, and I think I get to have all of these wonderful choices in my life that you know, house and techno became a very easy route for a lot of English DJs, in a sense, because it's a lot easier to manage, and I get that part of it. You know, the likes of Andy, Randall, and those guys, and especially Groove and Fabio. You know, I was speaking to a guy yesterday. You know, Groove and Fabio in all the genres, what they broke as acid DJs, acid house, going back to me when it was Spectrum and Rage. I mean, it's a fact, and for all of you listeners out there, because I'm a ghost, so you have to listen. But when Carl Cox played Donington Raceway, Mickey Linus's wedding, Carl, your mate, Carl, my mate that we know, but you know him better than I do, turned around to Fabio and gave up. He said, "Where do I get this drum and bass? I can't get it. I'm going to give up. I'm going to go stop playing techno." And Fabio went, "I don't know." And Groove on the idea that play Terminator. Fact. So I don't know if he's going to start coughing some money over to Groove and Fabio and give him a little percentage. But you know, but for me, my heart has been in Detroit techno. You know, Mad Mike's a really close friend of mine. Underground Resistance have been there forever.
Yeah.
You know, and as an underground black music, as Kevin Cornerson said, he was for 800, 900 black kids in Detroit who wanted something else to do. In the shadow of New York, graffiti and b-boyism. And I've always been involved in that culture. So it was going back to answer the question. It was very easy for me to move into breakbeat because I saw it getting a little bit helium like within happy. Hardcore was a little bit too happy for me. Of course, we kind of brought it into more social, being a bit darker. But I also get a lot of the fan base that I have that are, you know, I'm not a young boy. I'm 55 now. A lot of my crew, you know, 2.5 kids and that, you know, I used to love drum and bass back in the day, but then it got really fast and silly and gentrified. Well, like any other genre, that's what's always happened.
Yeah.
And always been refined. We became the Motown of breakbeat. You know, we're having the best year we've ever had in terms of the output and the music. So, you know, for me, it's ironic. I'll play some festivals and some kid goes up and goes, play some drum and bass music. Well, I'm actually playing drum and bass music, but I've been playing for 2 hours. What the fuck have you been listening to for the last... Oh, that gentrified Sigma bollocks. Just jog on, mate. Circus is that way. That's where the...
Well, how did you find yourself in New York? Because I was watching a couple of documentaries. In fact, I spent up to about 1 o'clock this morning watching a lot of your old documentaries and Metalhead. So I just wanted to, you know, refresh everything in my mind about it. But I didn't actually figure out how you got from, because you're from Warsaw, obviously, originally, how you got to New York at such a young age.
Well, it was Brim Fuentes who came here to do the documentary, which was when he did Hip Hop Arena. Brim Fuentes came here to do a project at the Shaw Theatre with Africa Mambata. And of course, we made the pilgrimage from Wolverhampton in a minibus from Wolverhampton, came down to meet him. And I was fascinated, and we just connected. So me and this kid from the Bronx, we just connected. Amazing. And he was doing the documentary with Dick Fontaine. And Dick Fontaine was the cameraman that was working on the documentary was Gus Correll. And Gus had the flat in Dorney Tower in Chalk Farm. And he was the cameraman, and I took a liking to Gus, he took a liking to me. And Brim kind of forced his hand and said, I want to come back to meet these guys and go where they live. So he came back to London, but then he came to the Midlands because he wanted to see how graffiti was impacting outside of it. And that's how we got to meet. And he invited me to New York. So the documentary budget went out the window. The director was furious. And we ended up being in New York. And when I went there, I got to meet all of my heroes that are now my friends. Lee Quinones, you know, Futura, Stash, the early doors, you know, and, you know, Bio, Nicer, BG, which then became my, you know, a part of my crew. I became part of their crew, which was, I still am, Tats Crew. I just finished a rather beautiful documentary called The Art That Made Me, which is out in December on Sky Arts, which is just paying a homage to those boys. And it starts in New York at the Bronx Museum, which is fascinating. And Henry, who just turned 80, you know, and I was sitting in this guy's studio in Grand Street, you know, in Manhattan, you know, the Lower East Side, thinking, what the hell? Like, this is just living the dream. Of course, all the breakbeat stuff and moving on to the label, you know, we've always been synonymous with that stuff. Keeping that kind of, the breaks are very important. And also I became very eclectic, and programming with those kind of breaks became it's like it's a thing where it's not Marmite. You either get it or you don't.
Mm. And then, so after your whole spell in New York, you came back to the UK, and then is that?
And story, I basically went back and stayed with Gus in Chalk Farm. I had nowhere to go. I didn't want to go back to Wolverhampton. Stayed with Gus. I was going to stay at the flat, and it ended up being my home. And he went back to the south of France, and I just hustled and started paying the little bit of rent that we had to pay to his mom. And I mean, she's lived about 102, a strong old lady. And it's obviously Gus Correll. It was the bookmakers. She was married to, Correll in the High Street, you know, in England. If anyone had seen this would understand, but Correll, the bookmakers. So he was the black sheep of the family, Gus, and he was into the art. And weirdly enough, Gus gave me the room, and it was because obviously his son tragically topped himself. So I kind of replaced his son in a lot of ways at that flat. And that flat was the beginning of my career, going to Camden, you know, meeting Kemi at Red or Dead, you know, going down to Rage on a Thursday, you know, going up to Dolly's Hill, which is not too far away. You know, I was touting artwork around the West End. to Rob Manley, A&R Records, going to all these different places. And I was going overground and underground. I'd go to the WAG on a Saturday, Basecliff on a Friday in Earl's Court, and then so I see Nenny Cherry and Steve Strange and all those guys, and then I'd end up going raving with the boys, to Warehouse Race, so I beat the records to Roller Express. So I was really living a double life.
Yeah. Did you ever?
So I just stayed first, and that was it. I stayed there. And that's where I met Mark at Astoria. I went, I love breakbeat, I love your music. I want to do some artwork for you. And he gave me a number, 0831 number. I called him. I'm just bouncing around in front of this crowd because, that's what I do. And mad as a box of frogs. And I went to Dollis Hill and showed him all this stuff I wanted to do, artwork. I went, right, give me the money. I'm going to go and make an EP. And it was Chris Biscuit first thing. And he went, well, come to the studio. I went, nah, give me the money. So I hustled half the money. 750 quid. They gave me 750 quid. I said, trust me. And I went to William Orbit's studio because I was in Crouch End with Kemi at the time and said, give me your studio. I was looking for a studio and I found William Orbit's studio through Johnny Gosling.
Wow.
And he was doing all the Cargo albums. He was locked away. He was William Orbit used to lock himself away in the front room because it was a house he had. And he was locking his. We never really came out of daylight. He looked like Gollum every time he came out.
I think I met him once, and it was just after he was working with Sasha, and he'd just done the Madonna album, and that was it. That was it.
It was strange. The reason why he did the Madonna album because I didn't do it. I turned it down.
No way.
Yes, what happened? She phoned me, Madge. She called me. I was just started Mother. I was like 2 weeks into doing the Mother project, that second album, which I was crucified for, which I'll stand by now. They're all laughing. Now I'm laughing. God, 1 hour long. Dirty job. Someone's got to do it. And she called me and said, and Trenton Harrison, who was managing me at the time, who was still very close, said, look, don't mess this up. She's calling you at like 4 o'clock. And she phoned me up and said, hey, Gold, I love Timeless, man. It was an amazing album. I'm like, she fell out with Nelly. Now, me and Nelly are really tight. So I'd already felt a little bit awkward.
Was that Nelly Hooper?
Nelly Hooper. Because I want to fly. I want to fly to LA. The album's amazing. And I'm like, I've just started doing Mother. She was like, well, can we not work around this? I'll fly to LA, first class, come out there, and we'll, have a look at this, just have a look and see if we can do anything. And I'm like, no. And you know what? I think when I met her through Guy Ritchie later on, she had the right up. She had the right up. Turned it down. But to be honest, mate, I would have ended up like Phil Spector. I was bang on the gear back then too much. I was doing too much drugs and rock and roll, and I would have ended up putting one on her, or just ended up like Phil Spector. That would have been horrible. And thank God, Guy Ritchie took the fall for all of us.
Yeah.
But it's those things because it was that thing where it was the same as Diddy. He said, do Victory in the remix, and I went, give me the Benjamins, I'll do that. I ain't doing what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
It was, and I think in hindsight, when I think about it, everyone's like, you're stupid, you should do the Madonna album. And to be honest, so in between it, you had William Orbit, and to be honest, he did a lot better job than I would have done. Do you know what I mean?
He did a great album, but it would have been nice to see that dynamic work together. I think you and her.
It's why we're here. When you think about it, I wasn't ready to produce other people's stuff. As much as me and Rob Playford were advanced in production, and Rob was a tremendous genius engineer in the same way that Mateus is a genius engineer for Nelly Hooper. I learnt the old way with Nelly Hooper, the way with the ear, having a great ear. Pete Tong's got a great ear. He's
like you can hear.
He always had a great ear, and I think when I laugh at these new kids when they go, yeah, but you're not doing it on your laptop. Well, here's 21 minutes. Tell you what, I'll give you all the sounds. Let's see what you can do. Let me see what you can do in 21 minutes. Then let's have a crack. The whole idea of arrangement and the idea of laying it down. It's very difficult. Conceptual music doesn't really happen anymore in that respect. And I think in the 70s and 80s, it was music that was powered by the voice of revolution music, like Les McCann or Marvin Gaye. It was music which was, revolutionary music. Not I've got a Ferrari and I've hired a Ferrari and a Lamborghini and I've got these hoes and bitches. And I'm also, you know, it's whether it's rap music being gentrified or, you know, people copying out with a really good vocal on a you know, I just think for me, I've always had my own weird way with it. But like I said, being here now, thinking back on production now, I'm an artist that wanted to turn into a producer. So now, like with Subjective Wicked, I'm 55, I can take my foot off the gas and go, do I like Subjective? Yes, I do. Me and James are having an amazing time. And Pete was pissed off because he said to me, I didn't even hear Subjective 1. Because he's not got my name on it.
I didn't. It was something I never found out about it. It was in Phuket last year when I came to play for Circo Loco. You came to my show with me and you sent me a techno version of Redemption, and I rang you up and I said, this sounds like it should be on Underground Resistance. And I was like, wow. This is amazing. It would have probably gone over the heads at that party, but I played it after that when I played in Berlin and London and a few other places, and it just went down amazingly. And then about 2 months ago, you said, I've got something to send you. And I remember ringing you straight up, and I said to you, the first thing I said to you, I think I was like, this is just, I could just hear this in, like, you know, in that environment. And it was just unbelievable. I've only heard 2 of the tracks from the new, new album.
You said to Pete this morning that, you know, it's ironic that 25 years later, after he signed Timeless, it's coming out 60 on Pete Tong's label with me and James, you know, with his second Subjective album, which we're really happy about because he was sitting in the wrong place. God bless him in New York, in the wrong part of Sony. And the exposure that, you know, obviously, ironically, you know, I think we're 10 in, and Pete signed, you know, he's just now took over and signed this second Subjective album. So it's going to be Goldie and James Davison presents Subjective number 2.
If I had to explain it to people, I would say it's in the area of like Burial meets techno. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a word so people would understand what the sound is.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. You know, I see that my old chord self in it, in the way that I would do stuff back then. And James is a beast. You know, he's the only engineer stroke producer that I've ever partnered up with, because everyone else I've kind of burnt them out or their agenda changed. And when he came here to do Journeyman, which was the album that I released, you know, it's the only album I've ever done on foreign soil, completely beginning to end. We're living in Thailand and we did it here. It's a beautiful album. And I said, look, we're going to start in prison. One of the toughest tracks to crack. Because if anyone that knows me, I draw all the music out. I do all the sketches on paper. This is what it's going to look like. This is how it's going to be. These are the shapes. Here's all the guide vocals. You know, I write all the vocals, write all the words. So I spent a lot of time designing that. And he was just amazing. And I said, well, let's have, you know, I think at my age now, I have a bit of fun. And it was the only album, Journeyman, it was really having fun doing a D&B album, which was celebrating as opposed to being something about lamenting for the mother or, you know, struggles. So of course, as well, you know, it's not everyone's cup of tea. Some people just want to play house music and just have a good dance and have a good time. And I think with this stuff that we're doing, I'm like, I could get down with this. I mean, brushstrokes, fathoms, I think yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying it.
I can't remember. It's
it's horrible.
Oh yeah, I've written it down because you got so excited, sent it to me. You didn't put any names on it.
Me and James night out, and we went, shall we? So we went downstairs and did a 1-note B line for like 128 bars or something, and it was brilliant. We just had a great time. Just really just enjoying because I've got all this farm material that we've never used, and I'm like, let's just do it. And also, it's, you know, after speaking to Mad Mike, you know, I'm so honoured that I've got such a connection with Mike and John Dixon, of course.
Yeah.
You know, they send me stuff, and it's always like, I guess that's where all us old boys go to retire in techno.
Talking back about Journeyman, you know, I listened to that when that came out. Did you feel that that was your second album, or did you feel that, you know, as in like, you know, obviously you released, you know, Saturn's Return, but did you feel like it was complete when you done Journeyman? Like it was that was what you were?
Yeah, I mean, you know, but it's I had to make Saturn's Return. I had to make Mother. It's a dirty
Right.
job.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I buried my mother and she was on the slab, you tell me another electronic artist that would use his music for that very reason. I don't care what era I'm born in. I just so happen to make electronic music, and I just so happen to have made a piece about my mom. And when I was at the Wolverhampton Co-op, which hi Pete Pazier from Wolverhampton will probably pass on his daily trip to work. You know, there's the Co-op where you put your, you know, it's a funeral service. I came back from doing the tour. I went. I came there when Goldie was expecting you. You want a cup of tea, lad? I went, lovely, love a cup of tea. Builders, couple of sugars, lovely. You know, proper Wolverhampton style. I walked in there, it says room number 5. I went in there and did what she asked. I opened the door, there she was, like a marble monkey with skin stretched over her. And I played Mother for an hour and sat there and cried my eyes up. Job done.
Wow.
So in terms of what the music means to me and what my life's been with music, I have no fucking control over what music does to me. I just have to serve the music. I always have done, always will. Loop shit, listens to deities all day long. And I am, in that respect, the conduit. Learning to have fun with it and stepping back a little bit and doing stuff. It's what I do with, it's what Metalheads is about. When I'm mentoring the lads on the label, you know, I've got this kid SB81 from Wolverhampton, just absolutely killer, you know, 150 BPM.
I saw on your Instagram, you were playing it on your Instagram.
Yeah, like, and then you've got that, because he listens to Nookie, and Nookie's just come with like a ridiculous, you know, double Binary State techno albums, 2 techno albums called Binary State, just mind-blowing, because he just goes all the way back to Detroit, and when Nookie does Nookie, no one can do Nookie like him. It's different class.
Yeah.
And Nookie, in this, without going off the track slightly, is probably one of the most unsung heroes, because when Reinforced were doing Reflective, Mark and Digo were doing Reflective, of which the Detroit boys, you got to remember, Mark and Digo are some of the only guys to ever be on Kevin Saunderson's label. You know what I mean? To be on a you know, Detroit label. Those boys were, you know, if when I spoke to Mark the other day, Mark said to me, I was in a studio in Dollar Hill and there's a knock on the door. It's Juan Atkins.
Wow.
What are you doing here? And he goes, where's Juan? He goes, Juan who? It's Juan Atkins. He goes, oh, come in, man, come in. He's like, because he'd heard about in their music in the same way that we make the pilgrimage to New York to go and find, you know, KRS-One or go and find Fat Joe. It happened, but because we don't have the media, no one knew about that. You know, we've got a lot to thank Detroit for. We've got a lot to thank Mark for. And with all your support, I still think that no one has done a real techno documentary honouring those guys.
Yeah.
Because, okay, you know, I spoke to a guy the other week and he went, techno wasn't invented by black people in Detroit. It was in Germany. I'm like, wow. 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 Do you know what I mean? Welcome to the party. You get me? You know what I mean? Everyone's welcome to the party. Go.
Yeah.
New world.
I don't think I never really got to. I love drum and bass, but I never really got to play a lot of it. The only record I probably played was Timeless at the end of my sets. For me, there's a line like Derek May's Strings of Life and Timeless, and I put them together. You know, I can't figure out which one's better, but I put them in the same category because it's just really like timeless music, isn't it? And I could play.
Quite moments, excuse the pun, and it is that thing. And the re-release comes out at the end of January. We've done an amazing job on the remastering without smashing it, as people like to do. I really went in on 6 years just to kind of, and with Timeless, to do a dynamic mix of it. Yeah. The repackaging is brilliant. You know, I've done some really lovely remixes. I mean, weirdly, next year is a fascinating year because, ironically, on Journeyman, you've got Two Avec Moi. And Two Avec Moi, which is the down tempo record on there, you know, which remake of Pat Metheny's Are You Going With Me? And of course, people know me. Pat Metheny's my hero. And I got friends with Pat through his wife. And now Pat's going to do his guitar rendition on Sea of Tears next year for the TV series. So I'm like, this is all surreal for me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot on the whole impact of what Timeless has done and what it means to people. Because it was the album, I guess, in the same way that Portishead might be the album for someone, or, you know, Maxi Quayle and Blue Lines.
Yeah.
It was an era when concept making was a thing for albums.
Yeah. And what I loved about it was it didn't matter. I was like, growing up, I was into Laurent Garnier, Sasha and Digweed. My bands were like Oasis, Stone Roses, Happy Mondays. But this album was in that collection along with Portishead as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it excited me. When it's back in the days when people had patience to listen to music.
Yeah, well, me and Noel laugh about it all the time. And I just saw my mate just jump up here. Big love to Mr. Smurfy. So he's my graffiti king down there at Global Arts. He's always looking after me. But he just sent me a load of nozzles. So I run out of caps. Look, I've got bits of paint everywhere. Look, but I've run out. I can't get fat caps. I'm still at it, boys. Yeah, so I'm just getting on with it. It's really beautiful that album still started. It's 26 years old, you know, it's 25 years we're celebrating, but it was made a year before it was released. And, you know, that was the whole reason why, I mean, again, this happened. I interviewed Pete for the website for the Timeless thing. And, you know, he said, well, what are you doing? And I said, well, actually, I've just been sitting on an album for a year and a half with me and James. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, yeah, I'm supposed to release it. And he went, well, send it to me. So that was that. So that's worked out lovely, really, that subjective.
Full circle.
The art of simple complexity, I've called it, me and James.
I think after this, you're going to have to post a little clip of the track so people can like get an idea and understanding of how good the music is.
Yeah, I mean it's mental. I mean, you know, I don't know what your I've just been I was saying to James, because obviously it's a long way off, but I've been so I mean, this is I don't know if you're gonna hear this, really, but yeah, it's been a bit mental. I don't want to post any high res shit, else I'll be in trouble. But this is
we can hear it.
Hear that? Little roll, that one. Yeah, we've been busy. You can hear it a little bit, but I'll just give you a little blast to this one as well. It's been mental. I mean, this was the one that I'm not sure this is what's killing me at the minute, which is killing Pete as well. So
which one is it?
So this is a big shout to Natalie Williams. Just smashed the life out of this.
Where are we now? In a world of crazy. Rather than cry, positively down. Got nothing to lose. My heart is full of you. Yeah. But when I'm with you, circus fades away.
If you're gonna do it right.
Not at the time. Sign of the time. I need you by my side. Sign of the time.
Different gravy. So yeah, so we smashed that out and smashed that out. That's actually somebody just put. That's crazy. What it is. That's what it's called. Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote that for Natalie last year, and it says, "Where are we now in the world of crazy, tumbling down? The walls are tumbling down, but when I'm with you, the circus fades away." You know, and I think I've always loved a good vocal. I've always loved, walking into Rage and hearing a really good vocal.
Yeah.
You know, on a really good track, was like, oh god, yeah, I wanted to get a vocalist like that.
I'm lucky enough to have that in my collection, so that record.
Well, you're still out the early doors, didn't you? I mean, I've just got to do the final mix, me and James. It's just
I'm gonna just jump out of this interview and go up to Music House and get an acetate cut.
get it cut straight away. James did a little quick EQ over it on last Thursday, and I played it out for the first time. I tried it out along with Dasa and a few of the others, and it just went off.
Yeah.
Just went off, you know. And it's a crowd who've never heard the record played before. They don't know what it is. And it was at the same place I saw you, at Circle Loco. The same. It was at Juan's place.
I was at Juan's at Baba Beach Club.
Yeah, Baba Beach Club. Yeah. So that was a nice little rollout. I hadn't played out for a minute. So I'm in Bangkok on next Saturday at Emperor's Clothing, and I'm doing a 3-hour techno set. So I'm going to get to have a great time. And
did you think at the time, because I've read the backstory about your upbringing. I'm not going to go into it now. You've talked about that before. But
you'll have them with the Kleenex out, mate. They ain't got time for me.
No, listen, but did you think, when you look at the artists that Metalhead signs, I'll go for a few, like Ed Rush, Fabio, Grooverider, Chemistry and Storm, Adam F, yourself, and the Blue Note, did you think, at the time, how big it was at the time to when you look back at it now and realize how much it changed the scene?
Yeah. No, I always had crew mentality. I always knew that Heads was going to be special. When you look at even Claude Von Stroke, all of those guys, they started out for that first 20 releases was groundbreaking for everybody in electronic music, period. It was just a different era. And people that went to Blue Note, they all end up in really mad jobs. You'd have a dread next to a graphic guy who was working at Tomato, and another guy who's now got a huge company doing this and that. People forget the importance of cultural exchange, being in a place where it was the Bergheim of East London, really, in a sense of where you go, not the downstairs part on the laboratory part, no. But it was more the kind of like the cutting edge, melting pot of ideas, if you like. Do you know what I mean? And I think what's great about Heads as a label, and to be honest, it's just been amazing. I've got a great label manager, and being here now in Asia, Anthony's, I let him run the label. He's here also, which helps. And we have the studio in Kuala Lumpur, which is for Fallen Tree 100, which is how these new projects are born out of. Fallen Tree 100 is our kind of integral music for the soundtrack of the TV series, which is a 6-part drama. And we have 100, which is Abby Simone, Natalie Duncan. We've got Searchlight coming out. We've got Artaggio out of Atlanta. So we've got all this other music that's been going on, what we've been doing here on Fallen Tree 100. But my heart, and soul has always been you know, getting the label to an absolute place. And it was, for a while, it was 2000 to 2002. Wasn't much going on because my head wasn't in the right place. And it just came back even stronger. That, you know, it's the longest running label.
Yeah.
It's never sold to a major in that respect. I still have quite all the control over it. And now we've got, you know, 9 artist albums for next year, and it's crazy what's happening next year. So I'm just blessed really to be doing what I'm doing.
It's when you went back about that cultural thing, I had the same experience going to go to Bedrock at Heaven on Thursday nights, the same as what you're talking about just then. And when you think about, it was an institution, wasn't it? And that for me was like, it was just amazing to experience that.
It's the people that go to festivals, like maybe the people that the 93 people that are on here. I love festivals, yeah, I get it, but culture doesn't grow in festivals.
No.
And everything that's thrived on this planet has thrived as a label or entity. Remember, it took bricks and mortar and a place for it to lay its head every week in, week out. You know, going to the festival, you're forgetting when we were all in the field struggling and people getting pulled out and arrested and thrown to the ground and arrested for getting together and raving in the field. And that became, you know, your Virgin Media's, you know, you got a Virgin or Creamfields, you got your big laminates, and you got waiting, there's security, and it's done. And it's like you forget it became $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
But let's not forget we fought for that.
No, you're right.
But I think culturally, the reason why I did the Rishi Sunak video was because you're being a complete dick and you're not realising that, you know, I'm glad that Printworks is getting some support. I know that Pete's doing something down there and a few other people are trying to put work their way now because they needed support. And it's almost like names in a hat. But you have to support culture.
Yeah.
And it's just as important. It's very important. It's very important for economic growth in the way that all the taxis that take people back and forth from festivals, all the food vendors that sell hot dogs, and you know, you're forgetting all the little people around it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that people take for granted. What you think is just us just taking pills in a field. You know what I mean?
No, but you kind of nailed it with that thing where you said, right, just get rid of the Tate, get rid of South Bank, get rid of this. And you're right. It's not just like one thing. You know, you get rid of, you know, at least a quarter of tourism straight away.
People, you know, and it's sad because, you know, it's one of those things that I find very insulting because there was this big hoo-ha with the MBE larky going back when Fabric was closing, and people went, oh my god, he's going to melt down his MBE. You forget the point I was making. The point I was saying, shall I melt it down and make a teaspoon out of it while I'm sipping my tea? Because the point I'm making is that you don't, you know, if we have kids, and most of us that go out and play music, and if you go out and you do stuff, you don't go to your kid's sports day and they run the 100-meter race and you go, well done, he wins. You go, fantastic. Right, get rid of the track, guys. Get the bulldozer. Roll it over there. Take that badge off him. Go on, sunshine. The kids are confused. Well, why are they confused? Well, if you're going to give someone an MBE for their contribution to the arts and music, namely Norman J, Pete Tong, myself, you know, Dizzy, there's loads of people in arts, in the arts generally. Now, it's not like the old dear goes, oh, darling, I think we should give Goldie an MBE. No, it's called people that nominate you. So it's people that are established that want to nominate you. They probably don't even know. They just put the badge on you. I get it. But the idea is, I'm trying to tell people, is that it's very important that it's a confusing message for me even. That it's not Indian giving, is it? It's supposed to mean something. So,
yeah.
You know, I'm a Dr. Doc Sock, I'm a Doc Sci, so I've got a double doctorate and a professorship and an MBE. 4 titles. Do you see it on my Instagram feed? No. Do you see it on my Twitter feed? No. It sits on the shelf next to me mom. Because she would have loved that when I'm making me a cup of tea. Keeps the old dear happy. You know, as far as I'm concerned, culturally it's important because I have a voice to say to people that nightclubs should be supported and reinstated with soundproofing in noisy areas. for a
Well,
start.
that made sense. That when you said that, that made sense. Like you said, you know, knocking it down, turning it into apartments because it's too noisy and things like that. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen because they're institutions, these places.
You know, listen, everything changes, right? But the whole idea is that everything since rave has happened, it's now recordable. Everything you have. The magic of what rave culture was, and the magic of hip hop, and the magic of what we've got in Detroit, and the magic of all of that, is there's parts of it missing, and it becomes a folklore, and you can't have that, and you can't own it. But I was part of it,
Yeah.
And that's special. And the only way you're going to give anyone a slight insight of that is not by just being on a street corner like what us old black folk do and go, "Oh my God, remember that time we did? Let's see it happen." Like, yeah, man, wicked. He came in, it was brilliant. What about the new kids' stories? What about this new generation where they want to go out and they want to create their stories, want to create their things? It shouldn't be like, remember we did that illegal rave, we all got arrested and dragged out because there's 12 of us having a party around the house. It's bullshit. It's bollocks. It's terrible. It's systematic. You know, it's systematically trying to, you know, I feel it's just some kind of weird government experiment to try and, you know, let's all wear masks and die from your own carbon dioxide poisoning before you get to the rave even. So,
Where were you when you found out you got the MBE? Who told you? How did you find out?
I don't know, I think I was taking a dump somewhere. Don't know, really. Yeah, I think it was my mate Colin Young said to me, I was at my accountant's, I think, at the time. He went, "You better sit down." I went, "Oh, not another tax bill." He wants a cup of tea with you. Right, okay, cool. What's this going to cost me? So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. My mum, I took her to Buckingham Palace when I was doing Goldie's Band, which is a great documentary. It's called Goldie's
I've seen
Band.
it. I saw it again. I watched it again last night. It's amazing.
And, you know, Natalie Duncan was on there and she became, you know, a powerhouse, and we just put her album out. If you're out there, please get Natalie Duncan's album. It's called Free. It's amazing. You know, that's on Fallen Tree 100. It's our first release here in Asia, which is amazing. And it was just a great program. And I took Mum to Buckingham Palace and she said to me, she said, I'd love to nick some of these plates in here. I went, Mum, you can't, you know, because my mum being me mum. So I remember taking her arm and going, "Mum, you'll have a look." She went, "What is it?" And I made her hold her hand out and I gave her some gravel from the driveway. She went, "Oh, it's the gravel from Buckingham Palace." She loves it. She had it on a cup. She had it in a cup. I put it in the ground with her when we buried her. Do you know what I mean? But it's you know, my mum was always fascinated with the royal family and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But for my mum, it meant a lot more. So you know, it was special for me, mum.
Nice.
So she, you know, for me to have got that, you know, it would have made her happy.
Yeah.
She, you know, it got there. It was that thing, you know, just because she went there. I took her there the first time for Goldie's Band thing. She loved it, you know, and it would have been me taking my mum there. So I took my wife and my and it was lovely, you know, at the time. So, but yeah, it was a good thing. But I just think that anyone that's got a voice right now, I mean, the other thing that I'm saying, as much as I love doing all of this, that if we never had Instagram and mobile phones, we'd be rioting in the streets now like we did in the 80s. Because it's the pacifier. You know, we have a shout, we say something, and we think we've done a job, and that's it. And we retweet it, and we go like, and I think the government just go, they'll be asleep soon. Just give them some more stuff to complain about. Let's let them talk amongst themselves about it, and it'll all change.
Yeah.
I think you've got to. We changed it back then. We weren't having any of it, and I think that's what's, you know, important. That if I was young now, I'd be an upstart. I would definitely be an upstart. I'd be out there doing what I can do. I mean, I don't think you can nick me for incitement here, but I would do whatever you can do to make change. As that.
No,
because you know, kick up a fuss because we're letting him down as adults by just agreeing with it all. You know what I mean? We got, you know, the youth culture youth, and it will go its own way. And you've got to, you know, we've played at many a party, and we've seen many a kid having a great time, you know, and these kids need it right now. They need it more than ever.
Yeah. Let's talk about something positive. Aurum Gallery.
Yeah, Aurum Gallery. No, it's been amazing. I would never, you know, my partner's amazing. My partner, he hates when I mention his name. He hates it, so I'm not going to mention his name.
Say it.
Mr. Bowen is Mr. Gary Bowen is my partner. He's a great guy, great partner. We've got the studio together. We have brilliant art. We're making, you know, an amazing 6-part. I mean, I've always wanted to make time in a 6-part drama. It's all down. The scripts are there. You know, I'm just rewriting episode 3 at the moment. Which is brilliant. And Aurum Gallery was just. He went, "What about the gallery?" I'm like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Where?" I'm like, "In the Art Bangkok. Let's do it." So we found a beautiful place in Bangkok, Warehouse 30, Churong Krung. And we just took out 2 big units, and we just bought some serious art. What's great about the gallery is that we actually own the collection of art. So we've got a lot of art. Instead, you know, we don't really work on consignment because, you know, you've got to pay a lot of taxes here. So even if you get a piece and somebody goes, "I want you to sell my piece, pay me later," it doesn't really work for us because we've got to pay the taxes anyway. So you might as well just we just bought all this wonderful art. And we've just sold out of the first lot of Vils, which we're about to get a new lot of Vils work, along with Berlin's work, you know, Saturno.
You got Nick Walker, Ben Ime. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got, you know, Matt Adams, Unknown, Tony Cogdell, who's just blowing up right now. Tony Cogdell's an amazing artist from Bristol. She's got this really beautiful transparency going on, which is amazing. She's just like really starting to pop. And if you're investing in art, I would seriously think about getting her work because I think she's just going to blow. She's just going to blow up. And it's great because it's all my mates, Crash, Bio, you know, all my New York mob, which is brilliant. So if you're in Bangkok, when you can travel, come and see us. Warehouse 30. We've got the Instagram at Aurum Art Gallery. Amazing art. We're switching it around. You know, we switch it around every couple of weeks. We move some stuff around because we've got a lot of art, man. It's a very big space because the one thing I always wanted was to have a gallery where the first thing people say when they're walking is, "Oh my God, this is space, it's huge." And I think I like art. I like it to breathe.
I saw that amazing piece that you did. I don't know who you did it with, but it was a side of a New York underground, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, we got all of the schematics and we built it. We built the gold train and then we gold leafed it, which was, you know, in Thai tradition of gold leafing. It took a team of about 9 of them to gold leaf it, and it took about a week with these tiny little squares. And if you go into Aurum Art Gallery on the feed, you can see, if you go back, you'll see when we were doing it, which is amazing. So, yeah, and it was really weird because I didn't want to paint it at first because it was so lovely as an installation, as a beautiful art piece. It was just gorgeous. But then me and a guy called Jex, who's one of the local artists, just did it, and it was great. It was really, really good. But the plan was that we were going to redo it every 3 months, but of course no one's been able to fly here. so we were waiting for next set of art. I mean, it was going to be Berlin and Saturno, and we had lined up from the Sky Arts documentary. We'd lined up a few artists. Odith was going to come and do, you know, the corner of a room in the gallery, and of course, you know, he has a really bad chest, can't really fly. But yeah, I mean, I guess we're going on the 28th of November. At the end of the month, we're showing the documentary as a private viewing. It's a world first, and the documentary, The Art That Made Me, we're showing it at the gallery, and that's going to be in with the Siam Winery, which is some really good guys that we know here. And yeah, it's been amazing. I never thought that you know, it's a very wealthy place, and there are a lot of collectors that collect art, Chinese, Thai, Singaporean businessmen, you know, and expats that live here. That are starting to turn the way that people collect art as well. I'm sure you know a lot of people that collect art. I think you've had a few bits of years.
I've got a few bits of you. Got a few bits of you.
Tucked away. It's good. Good.
So, kind of recap it. So you got DJ, artist, record label owner, graffiti artist, painter, whatever you want to call yourself, actor, MBE. So what's next?
Don't know, I'm not ready for the ground yet, so I'm not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Well, I'm going to be the showrunner on Cine Tempore, which is this bad boy here. It was always the plan. Amy from Miami Ink did this in Miami years ago.
Washington, isn't it?
Going back, Cine Tempore, which is without time, Latin. You know, that's the name of the TV series. It's 6 episodes. It is timeless, the TV series. It's a beautiful drama, 3 wonderful stories. And yes, I could direct all of it, but I need to be the showrunner because there's a lot, you know, doing 1 3-hour film or 1 2-hour film is easy. But I need to be able to control all of the playing field and look at it all and kind of almost let go to kind of move forward. I've got a great team. Stevie G plays the main lead. He plays a detective. It's an unbelievable story of passion, tragedy, and a story of how time is so important and how there is none. And it's all based on a kid, 12, 13 years old, kid who's coming of age with a mental illness called temporal lobe dysfunction, which is a real illness which I discovered years ago. It's the inability to process episodic memory. There you go. So yeah, we're doing that, and that's going to be the next, you know, for the end of next year. Hopefully this thing will just, one day we're going to wake up next year, and this will be gone because it's been here a lot. It's been here 1918, 1938, 1937. 1958 to 60. It's been here a lot, you know, and it comes and goes, and we adapt. We've just got to get through this, and then the world will finally go nuts and go out raving again.
Listen, I can't wait to come back over and see you in Thailand soon when this is all over, bro. You know, I can't wait to come and hang out. Can't
wait for you to come to dinner, mate. The door's always open.
I know. But listen, bro. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate. I know the time difference and everything, and the family, and you know.
I'm in bed, minute. That's me. I'm done. I'll be pottering around 2 a.m. It's 9 o'clock. It's way past my bedtime.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, mate, and thanks for chatting.
God bless you, man. I'll speak to you very soon, Nick. God bless.
All right. You take care, mate. See ya.
How do I leave?
Say leave. It might be in the top right-hand corner. Absolute legend. Right, so that was another episode of As I Was Saying with Goldie. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're all doing all right. I want to say one thing actually at the end of this show. If you're feeling shit at the moment and you're feeling down, and just make sure you talk to people, because there's a lot of people out there struggling with everything that's going on. And yeah, just look after each other. So stay tuned. We'll send some more information out of what the next As I Was Saying, and have a great weekend. Thank you.